Ralph Havens here, and this is Miracles, Magic, and Coffee starting in just a little bit. and We're going to have Dr. Tom Giammatteo, longtime friend of mine and healer. And let me just make sure this is on. Let's see. It should be on. Where's my Facebook? There it is. I'm going to go ahead and stick this on our ClickFunnels page so that people can join. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can comment. And let me just put this over here so everybody has it. Yeah, so there that goes, and we should be good to go. Okay, so we're on Facebook. We're gonna have Dr. Tom on in just a little bit. And one of the things that I'm gonna do this. I'm going to ask you, if you want to ask Dr. Tom a question, put it in the comments. Ask Dr. Tom or myself any questions on healing. Yeah, and so one thing I like to say and let people know our beliefs on healing. One of them is that God, I feel, is what does the healing, and another chiropractor, naturopath, Dr. Richard Bartlett of Matrix Energetics, he went deep with this idea, this whole concept, and he says everything is God. There's no patient, there's no practitioner. It's all God. There's no disease, there's no problem. It's all God. And those are nice words, but how can it be useful for you with your healing? So we're going to be exploring healing today, because when I first met Dr. Tom Giammatteo, it was with his wife, the late Sharon Giammatteo, physical therapist, PhD in integrated medicine, and Sharon's daughter Ayelet, PT, now PhD, and who's helped kids with autism no longer have that as a diagnosis. So that's almost heresy to talk like that, but it's what we noticed and seen, and they developed a whole course on helping people on the ASD spectrum and helping them be well. And so I first met them in February. It was kind of a day like today. Right now it is like, I don't know if you can tell, but it is raining like crazy out there. Really windy, really rainy. I don't know, it just looks all whited out to me. But yeah, it was a day like that, but we were in San Diego, and Sharon had come ready for some sunshine and some warm weather, and it was cold, and it was rainy, and it was actually even raining through the roof. There was a leak in the building in the hotel, and so they had to go buy new clothes because they came with just warm weather clothes. And I was there with my therapist that worked with me at the time. One of my therapists was at my table, and then another therapist that worked with me was at another table, and there was about 30 people or so, maybe 40 people, and it was all about men's and women's health issues. So all the pelvic floor, pelvic bowl stuff, helping people with issues around the uterus and the prostate and the bladder and the colon and all that pelvic stuff. And when I saw the flyer for the class, I was like, you can't, let me make sure I get this to Tom. He should already have this, but you can't teach as much as they say they're going to teach in there in a 3-day class. They were going to go through all these different structures, arteries and veins and lymphatic structures and organs, and show how to work on that. And I'd already been doing a lot of work with the work of Dr. Jean-Pierre Barral, the French osteopath, and it was so involved to work on all that stuff, a lot of skill. And here they had a list of all these different structures they were going to work on. So I thought, well, I'm going to take this class. This sounds interesting. And what sold me on it was they would have a list of, like, we'd have a section where we would talk about a certain series of things, and it'd be like how to work on the arteries of that area. And so there'd be like 20 or 30 techniques in this one section. And so we couldn't do all of them to practice. So Sharon and Tom and Ayelet would come around to each person's table and said, okay, for you, get them to work on number 5 and 8 on you, and number 13 and 15, and test things before and after. So we would test how we moved and how we felt and how we walked around, because we were all physical therapists and massage therapists and chiropractors, and we're used to testing things. And then we would do these really intricate techniques. And we weren't even sure if we were doing them correctly, because it was very intricate and very precise, and you had to be on the exact spot on the kidney or the exact spot on the ureter or the exact artery. And it's like, how do you feel an artery? And so we were doing these techniques and just learning them for the first time. And then after we did them, we would stand each other up again and we would retest our neck and our shoulder and our back. And we felt better and we moved better. And it's like, okay, that was cool. And something in me just knew, sometimes you just know. And so I talked to Sharon and I said, I want you to come to my office. I want you guys to teach this in my office. I know you have classes all over the world, but I want you guys here. I had like 4 therapists at the time. I think we then got up to 5. But so once every, like about 4 times a year, we had one of Sharon's team come in and teach a class. And we would shut the office down, and then we would take away all the treatment tables. Well, we put extra treatment tables in, and everybody would come from all over the world, really. And then our therapists would all get classes. And then me and some of our therapists took it a step further, and we went to Los Angeles and San Francisco and Vancouver and Seattle and Portland and Connecticut and New Mexico and Asheville, North Carolina, and all over Chicago. And we took classes. And I took about 10 to 15 classes a year from them. And each one, I'd be like, finish the day of work on a Thursday or a Friday and hop on a plane and then land in some city and get my rental car, go into the hotel, and then go to class for 3 days and then fly back on Sunday or Monday and then go straight back to work. And every month I was doing that for 10 years. And my therapist, I had one that was doing pretty much the same kind of schedule. And then the other ones would take them more regionally, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco. And we had quite a cool operation there in San Diego, and people were coming from all over the world to get healed of all sorts of stuff. And yet it still is God doing the healing. But there's a way to find out what's in the way of that, because basically the premise of this whole thing, I can hardly wait for Tom to get on. I don't know why he's not on yet. The premise of the whole thing is everybody's body is doing the best it can do. And what we see, I'm going to leave the link where you can get more of this premise. Autoimmune answers. Autoimmune answers. I'm going to put .com, so that if you give an actual website on Facebook, less people see it. So I'm going to just put .com, autoimmune answers.com. There it is. So you can go look for the master class on healing. And the idea is everybody's body is doing the best it can do. And what you see when somebody's not healing, if somebody has chronic back pain, or they have a lot of arthritis, or some autoimmune condition, some sort of skin condition, anxiety, depression, behavioral stuff for kids or other people, what you see is the person's body is doing the best it can do. It's protecting them from something. And if you can find that, which is what this whole integrated manual therapy model does, you can clear that, you can shift that, and then they no longer have to protect themselves from it. So an example I like to give is a cut. So, if somebody has a cut and it heals, that really is a miracle, right? We heal. If you were dead and you got a cut, it wouldn't heal. But if you're alive and you get a cut, it heals. Now, sometimes it doesn't heal. And so you try to put stitches on it, and maybe that heals it. It just needs to get a little closer together. But sometimes you put stitches on it and it still doesn't heal. And it's like, what's going on? So maybe it's infected. So you got to get rid of the infection. And, if the medical route would be antibiotics, or there could be natural remedies, but basically the infection, when it goes away, now it can heal. Or other people might be in the cut's not healing and they're diabetic and their blood sugar is way out of control. And you got to get the blood sugar under control. And then whether it's with drugs or with diet, and then their blood sugar gets under control and now they can heal. So did the practitioner heal them with the stitches or with some sort of drug or something? Not exactly, right? It's like you just took away the reason they weren't naturally healing. So the idea with this true healing, this integrative manual therapy approach, is that if you can find out why somebody's not healing, you go shift that so that they can get healthier, so that they're healthy enough and then they can heal. So that's the whole idea, the whole premise behind it. And yeah, so if you have any questions, if you're watching live, let me know. If you're watching on YouTube later, comment, and I usually find those comments. You can also go to autoimmuneanswers.com and then get on our email list and send me an email. I don't see Dr. Tom. Jen told me he had just messaged us too. So he might have been pulled away. I'm going to say also PM me for a free healing session. We're actually doing a free healing session in a couple of weeks. It's a group session, but it's free. Just PM me for that. I'll send you the link. Autoimmuneanswers.com for the masterclass, and not sure where Tom is. And I don't see any questions. So I'll be on a short time longer. We are pretty casual on this show. And so I'm going to just go check with Tom and see why, or check with Jen and see if he messaged or not. I'll do one more and just see if he's coming on late. So it's always worth it to be there for Tom. So we'll see if we'll give him another few minutes. Okay, so there's that. He might have a hard time getting on. Sometimes he has a hard time getting on. I don't see Tom. Sorry about this, you guys. I'm going to just head downstairs real quick and come back and just see if he's having a hard time. So enjoy the rain for a little bit. Here's my magic wand. I'll be right back. Okay. Well, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and just show you awesome. Where's everybody? I don't see him. I don't see anybody asking questions. I'm going to just, it's kind of a funny Facebook Live, huh? But let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you what I'm doing, what I'm up to. I'll give you another little bit, something super cool that for those of you that are still hanging around, and give you something kind of cool. So let me share my screen. Well, let's see if Tom, give him another little chance to come on. So there's a free healing session that we're doing. Coming up in January. We do them once a month, and the first month is free. So if you go to ralphhavens.com, oh, there's Tom, yay! So go to ralphhavens.com/free miracle session for that. I'm going to bring Tom back on board. Let's see. And there's Tom.
Hey, Ralph.
Sorry for the late Zoom link to you. I'm so glad you're here.
Happy holidays, sir.
Happy holidays too. Happy holidays. It's super, super windy and rainy. It reminds me of the first time I met you in February of 2000, and it was raining through the actual ceiling in San Diego for men's and women's health issues. So I thought, I'm open for anything you want to talk about. But I was just thinking of my story, how, I met you guys, and I got introduced even more to that idea that the body's doing its best it can do, and you can just find it and fix it. It can heal, even though it's the body that's healing or God that's healing, and how it solved an anxiety thing and my teeth thing and other health things. And I've seen so many miracles for me and my family and our clients. So anything you want to talk about, like got so many things you could talk about, and I know you do stuff with other healers and IMT practitioners around the world every week or so. Yeah, just the idea was like true healing or your healing stories, or how did you do this?
Well, we had a full moon last night, right?
It was beautiful.
Yeah, and it was just amazing. This is an amazing time of the year. We have health and well-being, and I just feel like everybody is on a big pause of reflection for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So, and I think, New Year is in 3 days from now, and it's really a positive time to hopefully feel like we're getting some things back together again. A lot more practitioners are actually coming back after a 5 to 6 year hiatus. Nice. Of finding things. What we talk about in integrated manual therapy is structure leading to function. Everybody's seeking out an issue that I hurt here and I hurt there, or some difficulties in a lot of, I have Crohn's, or I have stomach issues, I have diabetes, I have blood pressure, and you need to fix me. And I feel it's time to wake up and say, with some really good awareness of our body and getting back in our body. We've been out of our bodies for such a long time. We don't even know what, is wrong with us anymore. And we've been conditioned sometimes with medicine just to take another pill. Right. Yeah. And so that's kind of sad. So IMT really brings those tools together. Like, we've learned on our journey together that food is important, what we take in and how we take it in. And the price, Western price information, or the Edgar Cayce information, or macrobiotic dieting have made people heal, but the advertisements on TV and goes, take this pill for that. Why do you have to suffer with that? It's just been brainwashing us for such, and it's really coming down that there's going to be a huge rift in people taking responsibility for their health and other people not, and suffering down that road of Western medicine at the same time.
It seems like it's just hurtling through space at a speed where it's like, yeah, it's turning into this, it's a crossroads or something going on. Mm-hmm. It's happening.
Yeah. So I have to say in the last couple, I know we skipped last week, sorry for that. But, you know, a lot of people are mesmerized. One thing I found this week, which was kind of interesting, was it was like people have been, okay, we've been socially isolated for such a long time, and now we have the miracle vaccination process. And I've had even my personal family come up, and my mother's 90, and they're like, my brothers are asking, when are we going to get her the vaccination, because she's in that high risk pool. And I said, well, can't we wait a month or two just to see how everybody else does? So I also got my hair cut yesterday. I've known this gentleman for 20 years. He's been my barber. And it just felt like he was in this mesmerized zombie place. Like, okay, we got to get this done. This is what we're told. And I'm really wanting to have people hear that, you know, a lot of people around them are going to be in this zombie place. Okay, this is what we got to do next. This is what we got to do next. And hopefully we can break that at the same time.
It's a strong impulse, because I was running, we're in Bellingham, Washington, and it's a very locked down state, and it's a very liberal little town. And for some reason that side has been, has taken the side of like, lots of masks, and we're going to get the vaccine. And I was I was running, and I was also somewhere else, and every single person had a mask on, and except for me. And there's a strong thing socially, like if you're kicked out of the group as a lion or an elephant or something, or you've lost your herd, you're going to die. And so there's a strong impulse as humans that we don't want to be kicked out of the group. It's how abusive relationships continue, and why people stay in abusive families. It's because if you're not in your group, you're going to die. So there's a strong impulse to do what the group does. It's why we go to restaurants that are full. So the one that's empty is this. What is the tribe doing? And it seems like there's a whole group of a big part of the tribe is on board with just do this protocol that everybody's talking about. It's interesting.
Yeah, it just feels like everybody's very tired. Everybody's and just wants a solution. Just, I wanted to go back the old way. It's been, you know.
It's such an easy. It seems like such an easy fix. Just do the one-time thing, and then you're all okay.
Yeah. So I want to reach out and just say to everybody, I'm feeling everybody's anxiety on this piece. And
you do so much work to help people, because there is a global thing, and you tap into that with your work. Like it's like, yeah, everybody's an individual with individual stuff going on, but there's a group thing that happens, you know, like you say, around the full moon, and things that people feel stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a time of just I think we talked about this a while ago when we were talking about neurofacial processing before, and the process of neurofacial processing is the whole different body parts, and we had talked about this forearm holding component, and it's about belief systems. And the way integrated manual therapy talks about belief systems is it's a program that you took on at a younger age that you built rules around. Okay. And they may not quite be the rules that you really want to follow. One of the examples is, you know, of a belief system is, you know, maybe a little girl working with her grandmother, learning how to bake cookies, and the grandmother says, you know, you really have to learn to cook good to keep, you know, your family happy. And that may turn into something like, I get anxiety if I don't have the food on the table at 5 o'clock for my family in the future.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of tight belief systems in there.
Yeah, that's such a strong thing. I noticed one just yesterday. I was one of my dreams was to just be driving around. I always thought it'd be around Utah for some reason. I had this dream of like driving in an SUV with a cup of coffee and Jen and the family and visiting stuff. And yesterday Jen was like, let's take the day off and go see the Eagles. The American Eagles are out, right now with the salmon. And so we took off and Jen had her coffee there. And I was driving and I knew consciously that this is my dream to be heading out to the mountain and to be with the family and even Jen's drinking coffee. But I felt like an angst, I think because I wanted to be at work. It's like so funny, but it was like, it was stronger than just, it was a strong feeling of like irritation that I'm doing this thing that's actually part of my dream, but it's obviously still more work to do.
Right. So, that worry. And then, the question is, if you hold your forearms a little bit, where did you learn that lesson from? Is the next question.
Yeah.
Hold your forearms a little bit. And then, and is it a family member or is it not a family member? Let's do a little work here on Ralph.
Family member, not a family member. Something else. It's not a blood family member. It's a step family member.
Okay. And can he say, I think the phrase that you said is, I should be at work. Right?
Oh yeah. So, takes me right to a point that when something happened, actually. I mean, I guess you don't have to like know all the particulars, but yeah, it takes me back to a point when I had a really bad ear infection. And so I was home from school and I was sleeping. I was staying at my grandmother's house, which was next door to the house we were living in. And on like 3 days into it, I was feeling better. So I was up with my blanket watching soap operas or watching some kind of daytime TV. And I felt really good, but I was like still tired. And my stepdad snuck in because he liked to do this sort of thing and then caught me not in bed. And he just totally got after me because it's like, if you're well enough to be watching TV, you could go to school. And so it was tougher than that, but that just popped in anyway.
So that's the cool. So imagine you being the kid on the couch, hold your forearms, and just listen to that sentence. If you're not sick enough to be in bed, then you have to be at school.
Yeah.
And when we're children, we sometimes want to get that respect from our parents. So we hold that belief system really deep inside. So can you tell that child that heard that maybe dad didn't really know how to enjoy life and I want to do it differently?
Yeah. It's
stepdad. Right. And take a breath into that. So next time that position comes up, you can feel it easier. And that belief system doesn't have to drive you as much crazy anymore.
Yeah, well, that'll be cool. Yeah, it'll be fun to see how it shows up. Yeah.
So just even holding your forearms when you're getting a little nervous, I would suggest a 5 to 20 minute walk. Just doing this as a walking meditation is wonderful to get you connected in those processes.
I'll add that in. I know you've talked about it before. And, I run about 4 days a week, sometimes more. Actually more than that, but four separate days of the week I run. But the other days I tend to go out in between, and we're right by trails. So yeah, that'll be a good. I'll do that actually.
Yeah. So that's a gift that can help us in this really strange weekend that's coming up.
Yeah, just hold your forearms and go for a walk, ideally out in nature.
Yeah. And if you do feel some anxiety, bringing the hand to the top of the bridge of the nose to the heart will help calm down the wandering gerbils in our mind.
Yeah, I tend to do this one because it's easier when I'm asleep. I did it this morning, but I touch the bridge of my nose and then I put my hands on my the control center and the leaf and just lay on my side because it's easier to hold than to like do a thing. So that's one of the ones that I tend to use.
Yeah. So I feel that a lot of clients in the last couple of weeks have been really seeking things for change, and sometimes they get structurally stuck. So we help on those structures, and then they can manifest what they want to in the world.
Yeah, like something stuck in their heart, or something stuck in their brain, or something stuck in their belief system forearm, or just structurally unstick them.
Yes. So that does help.
And your work is so much more, so much bigger. Like, it'd be easy to think, oh, Tom just talks about these real simple little things. But it's like, the first time I met you, it just blew me away. Because I remember just getting the flyer from Northeast Seminars, and it said, okay, we're going to do a 3-day class on the women's and men's health issues. And we're going to do we're going to do techniques for this little artery and this little vein and this little lymphatic structure and this part of the hilum of the kidney. And I was like, what? And how can they have that many things? That seems impossible, 3 days, but you did it. So I don't want people to think that, oh, Tom's got just, that this method is so simple. It is on some levels, but it's also really precise and intricate to exactly where to find the thing.
Yeah. But, you know, you going through the program, every course really is a package in itself on how to help humanity get better on a physical level. And we break it down to, okay, now we're going to work with muscles. Now we're going to work with bones. Now we're going to work with tendons. Now we're going to work with organ systems. And it's really the process of going through it and having your own personal space opened up.
Yeah.
Really realize it. You know, how would you tell somebody back in, 1910 that you could get on a jet plane and fly to Miami, Florida in 2 to 3 hours? It would be inconceivable to that person.
Pure magic.
Yeah. So it was interesting. I was working with a 23-year-old yesterday, and I was giving some suggestions on what she showed me. She had a rash, and she had this and that, and she had a rash, which happens when you sweat a lot, called ringworm, and it's actually a fungus irritation. So I said, this is almost so bad, I would like you to make sure, if it doesn't go away in a week after I tell you what to do, you should go get a scheduled appointment with a dermatologist just in case it's something deeper. But you can actually take Head and Shoulders or a dandruff formula, like Selsun Blue formula, and put it on there, because that has antifungal potions in it, and you rub it on there and it can actually take it out of your skin. And she goes, well, I just go to the doctor and get the pill. And it was just like, okay, but what is the consequences of having an antibiotic and losing your microbiome in your gut? But if you want to go get the pill, what are going to be the 5 things that are going to happen to you after you get off the antibiotic and things like that? So
yeah, we find so much times that something else grows back later, or it grows again.
Yeah, it was like even teaching her how to say, okay, I got a rash, I shouldn't be putting on the same shirt the next day or using the same towel the next day. Those pieces.
Yeah, yeah, it's so cool, Tom. It's so cool. I feel an instant miracle. Because I used to, years ago, I used to go to Vancouver on vacation, and Jen and I would go there and we'd walk around and stuff. And I was like, yeah, this would be a good building for the IMT center. So I just my awareness, and I did an instant miracle. I appreciate you so much and what you brought to the world. And it'll be cool to see how it shows up. There's a lot more people coming around it does seem like there's two things happening. This group doing this, and this group kind of looking for real answers in a different way. Yeah. If anybody resonates with this, you can find Tom at imtwellnesscenter.com. That's imtwellnesscenter.com. And me at autoimmuneanswers.com. There's many ways to find us. Just look for us or PM me, and I can send you a bunch of different links to interact with Tom and me. Yeah. How's it going with all the practitioners you meet with once a week?
This week is we're starting to, I have 3 sets of doctors, 2 in New York and 1 in Maine and another place, and they've been doing the COVID vaccinations.
Wow.
And been finding we've had 2 of our practitioners have healthcare professionals that had to receive the COVID vaccination. And we're starting to create, we look at patterns all the time. And we found that there's a lot of good in vaccinations, but there's sometimes side effects to them at the same time. So we're gathering our database and discovering, depending on what type of there are probably 8 to 10 vaccination in the pipeline that will be here by June. And they're going to fit into at least probably 2 to 3 categories, the mechanism that they're going to boost the immune system. So we're trying to start to categorize because what happens in a vaccination is you want to teach the body at a smaller level how to fight the big fight. And you piss it off by giving it something that looks like the virus, or you give it the real virus or something, and the immune system starts to fight it. So when it comes from outside and you get attacked by it, you already have a battle plan. That's one way. Yeah. That's the idea of vaccinations. And sometimes to help the body learn, they put a lot of things in it. Sometimes it's heavy metals, mercury, or so 40 to 50% of vaccinations is to irritate the system. Mm-hmm. So we're starting to map, which is our diagnostic technique, the way those patterns are showing up. So if you hear of anybody, Ralph, seems on the last map, you can see all the dural membranes. So the sagittal sinus, the transverse sinuses were very clear, the septum of the heart. So anything that had like a bilayer to it is getting inflamed.
Yeah.
So we know when somebody comes in with a tetanus shot, how to relieve that very fast, or when they have these different procedures, we're always looking, okay, should we check these 10 things? Because if we let those 10 things open up, most of the symptoms go away at the same time for the person.
All right. Well, it's happening. It's happening.
Really?
You got to be there to help people, whether they take that thing or not. And
yeah,
I'm glad you're doing the research. Yeah.
And so we'll have to. It's this not knowing, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's cool the way you and Sharon didn't know a lot of stuff, but found it. And then the medical system found things like the way you found bone bruises and.
Yeah. Well, I think we just couldn't find the words.
Yeah.
Or, in our educations and the things we studied for healthcare, they weren't at the top of the list of things to do. And like some of them have been studied for years and years, and they're just new thoughts and new processes coming in.
Yeah, and I think the key, what I found, and I know you guys think like this, is whatever people use, it's really good to get some testing, like check how you feel on all sorts of levels, how you move, how you feel, how you're doing. And then whatever you use, any kind of therapeutic thing, any kind of thing, then test it right away. Like don't wait a week or 2 or 3 weeks and go, oh yeah, it was because of that. It's like, you should have a change right away. If something is going to change, it's because the body can heal by itself. And so just because you got this therapeutic thing doesn't mean it's what changed this thing. But if you can test something and then whatever you do, retest it right then, like before the person leaves, before you leave your practitioner's office, you should feel better. And if you don't, and if you consistently don't feel better, you might consider like maybe you should do something that makes you feel better. So that's the testing and then retesting right away to get data is really key, because it's how Tom and I have years and years of experience. It's like if you test and retest and somebody comes in with this condition and you do this thing and then they get better, you've got data. And if 10 people come in and you do this thing and they get better, you've got really good data. If 3 more people come in and you do this thing and it doesn't get better, now you got to practice, you got to try something else. And it's like now 2 out of those 3 get better, you got more data. And what happens with a lot of practitioners is they get kind of stuck with somebody comes in and they've been told to do this thing and they just do it. And they tell the person just, it's going to be better in 3 weeks. It's like, it's like, it's better to like, that kind of doesn't have a lot of experience 10 years down the road. That kind of practitioner hasn't learned anything. So I encourage you to find practitioners, whatever you use, where you can test and then retest. It's just, it's a good way to test for yourself.
Yes.
So anyway, my words of encouragement.
So it's been a nice year spending some Wednesdays together.
It is, yeah. And hopefully we'll do a lot more. Next week I'm on if you're on, and we'll just get as you can. And yeah, let's see what magic shows up, and message me and Tom if you need help. Reach out to us if this resonates with you and you want this kind of healing work, this kind of stuff. Then find Tom, imtwellnesscenter.com, and find me. We're actually doing a free healing session, energetic thing this next couple of weeks. ralphhavens.com/free miracle session. So just find us, PM me if you can't find us, and we'll see you next week, Tom. So good to see you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.